our sides. And we'll do, I was kind of inspired. Oh, Tracy, yay, nice. Oh, fantastic. So yeah, let's start off with get a little glute work today, or start off with a little bit of glute. So we're gonna just do straight leg, but remember we're barely seeing the toes, top hip rolled forward. We're gonna start and do a small amount of wake up there, finding the glute. So top hips rolled forward. And you may have to adjust too. Maybe it's like, oh, I don't quite feel it, so let me roll that top hip forward a bit more. It's sometimes it's surprising how far forward. I know even for myself, I'm like, oh, I'm not really feeling it today, and I kind of almost feel like I'm tipped over. So I use my top hand to give a little help there. Then let's bend that knee. So we're at 90 degrees at the knee, and we'll think of holding that thigh bone super still and rotate the shin around the thigh bone. Now I'm trying to do it from my hip. So I'm not turning it from here. I'm not turning it from the front. I'm thinking of my glute and my butt is turning the thigh bone. Just do a few of these guys. Beautiful. And then we'll relax. Excellent. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna stay on this same side. Let's do that rib cage combo pack from last week. So starting off, I'm gonna wrap, I'm on my left side, so my right hand's gonna grab around my rib cage. I'm gonna bring my hips to 90, knees are at 90, and I'll just do a nice gentle rib rotation. My bottom arm is just laying out to the side. So I'm going to just do a little ribs, giving myself a little hug, saying, oh. So really, but what we're really doing is just getting some nice thoracic rotation, or starting some rib rotation. And then we'll bring that arm straight up in the air. If you feel like you might cheat, you can always bring your other finger on that bone and then move the bone towards the back wall, or behind you. Or if you feel like, hey, I think I've got that pretty well, where I know my arm is just a marker, then we can do some rotation through that upper torso. So great. And then I automatically brought my left hand on top of that thigh. I'm going to give a little pull into the ground. Feel my oblique or my midsection kind of just engage somewhat, and then do a couple more. Awesome. Great. And then we'll roll it around to the other side. Again, just waking up the hips, waking up the glutes. If you need to have a pillow or something underneath your head, absolutely. We're going to start off top hips rolled forward and just do some hip extensions. So we're just raising, lowering, of course, and again, finding that spot. Oh, maybe I need to roll it forward. And maybe it's just rolling it forward really excessively for the first few. And then once you found it, then you can, maybe not feel like you're all the way tipped over. So we've got a few there. And then once we've got a few on that straight leg, we're going to bend that knee 90 degrees, that top knee. And again, thinking of turning, this thigh bone is staying super still. I'm going to raise and lower my shin around the thigh bone. So I'm turning that thigh bone with my glute. So I'm not driving it from the front. I'm really just trying to drive it from the back. And that happens when you're really still on the thigh bone. If the knee is turning up and down, then you're kind of driving it from the front. So my knee stays pretty much faced forward. That's going to drive a little bit more into the glute. Good, beautiful. So there we're just doing some activation on that glute. Oh, and then we'll switch to our rib cage so we can bring those, hinge the hips at 90, knees at 90. I'm going to reach now my left hand around the rib cage, give it a hug, but also a nice grab at the rib cage and rotating back away. So while we're doing this, and I've got most of the gang here, Mo had a really nice suggestion, and been thinking about that, is that especially on Thursdays, well, even tomorrow, but Thursdays, we'll make sure that, or I'm going to make sure I'm on a bit early, or anybody that wants to come on, 8 minutes ahead of time, and just kind of check in with everybody and we don't always get to introduce each other and where we are, who we are, what we do, or what we don't do. And then again, we'll straighten that, for me, straightening my left arm. If you want that marker, we can rotate back so that you know that you're moving your upper body, not just your arm. Or if you feel like you've got that down, absolutely, that's fine. You don't have to use the other hand. Sometimes it's just a good check. It's like, oh, am I cheating? And then we can bring that bottom hand, so my right hand on the outside of my left thigh, pulling into the ground and doing some rotation there. Excellent. Maybe one more. Get some nice rotation there. Super. Yeah, all right. Then we're going to come back onto our back, and we can bring right leg on top of the left. So I have my left knee's bent right now. I can bring my towel around that left leg, or my hands around that left leg on the back side. Top leg, right leg is going to press down using the outside of the hip, and then body weight wins. Nice long spine as we do this. We're not curling up that tailbone. We're just working the muscles in the hip rotators. So top leg wins, bottom leg wins. Awesome. I think Tracy has a new screensaver, right? We've moved out of the tropics into the brave new world. The frontier, the space, the final frontier. Good, one more. Thanks for the thumbs up, I love it. That is a beautiful picture, my goodness. And then we'll switch over to the other leg. So now for me, left leg is on top. I'm gonna reach through, grab the back of the right, or the right hamstring, back of the leg. So top leg kicks down. So it's my left hip is pressing down, then body weight wins or towel wins. Again, we can think of, greasing the groove. You can start in a smaller range as we get that activation, and then start to find, okay, I'm still engaged in that outside of that top thigh, hip. I can press down, and then I can go a little bit further, only going as far that you can maintain that contraction. Good. Great, last one. Super, great. All right, then since we did that nice rib rotation and everything, we'll kind of add a layer onto that. We can stick our hand under a dumbbell or under the corner of the couch or whatever it might be. I'm going to press, my right hand is going to be pressing up into that dumbbell or that couch. Knees are bent. I just have my toes on the ground and rotating away, getting a stretch across the chest, maybe into the obliques. But the obliques, those cross fiber ones that help us turn, are what's going to help us come back. So good, good, good. Continue to press up. A little micro bend in that elbow. Make sure we're not locking it out. That puts more stress on the joint and we're no longer in muscle tissue. So always a little micro bend. It doesn't have to be much. It's just not locked out. That would be, you know, kind of, well, it's probably hard to see from this angle. So good. And if you like, make it a little bit more intense. You can take your feet off of the ground. We'll do one more. You can really play around with what feels appropriate for your chest. Nothing should be straining. And again, remember, as you come back, if it feels like, uh-oh, I really pushed the envelope there, just drop a foot down or drop both feet down as you come back. If you feel like you went a little too crazy on that. We'll switch to the other side. Again, hands gonna press up into that corner of the couch. Elbows, little micro bend. Just have my toes just lightly touching on the ground. Of course, as I rotate away from that arm, that same leg is gonna probably come off the ground. It just makes a better rotation. And as we're rotating too, I'm thinking my hips aren't flying, like, you know, so if I were looking above, I'm trying to think that I'm a nice spindle as well, right? So my hips aren't going across the room. You can work on getting a little bit tighter spiral. That's going to give you a little more rotation. But again, that's all kind of a contingent on your own body. Just some things to think about. We'll get one more or two more if you wanted to play around with, you know, changing the weight again. As you get to that end range of that stretch, if it feels like, oh, I think I'm going to strain, or, you know, it's just drop a foot down. Still use your body, still use those pec muscles, chest muscles, obliques, but this way it's not too far along. Awesome. All right, so got that nice rotation there. Got started to get the chest open. Did a little glutes here. Let's go into some adductor, just from a half kneeling here. And we're gonna be squeezing both in together. So knees, or yeah, micro bend in the knee, squeezing in. I'm just gonna tip my hips back and tuck under. So I'm working the adductor, but I'm working it by just kind of moving my pelvis around the adductor. So just a softness in that knee, right? This isn't locked out. I have my foot flat, and we get a little work around those adductors. Beautiful. Good. Great. One more. Great. And then we'll switch to the other side. Finding that good spot, micro bend in the knee, squeezing, lightly squeezing each other. Again, so we're staying here. We're not going so tight that it's so engaged that we start to really crank on the pelvic floor. We're just trying to stay in that tissue. You may feel some, you may not feel a whole lot. Some of it is just working. Again, just thinking of that pelvis working around those adductors. So typically we kind of move the legs to get the stretch. Now the leg is staying still and we're moving the pelvis to get some of the work around the tissue. So just gives you a little different different feel there. Awesome. Great. Beautiful. And then we'll switch back while we're here. One more round, but let's get the quad while we're in half kneeling. I switched legs, so we got off of that one knee, kicking that shin into the ground. Keep kicking that shin into the ground as we move our hips back. Good to see you, Cheryl, too. Didn't get to do a little shout out there. Good to see everybody. Glad everyone is taking a moment for themselves to strengthen, unwind, get blood flowing, taking care of their bodies. Good, one more. Great. And then we'll switch to the other side and shin again, kicking into the ground. Finding that, dialing it up or dialing it back a little. Sometimes we start off, we're all excited and we just kind of crank on it. It's like, wait a minute, do I feel muscle tissue? Maybe I need to just back off a little, let my body find the muscle, let those springs start to circulate some blood, connect up to the brain, get the coils open so they're starting to spring, and then we can add a little more engagement. Good, and we'll do one more. Beautiful. Excellent, all right. I'm gonna switch to upper body, and let's do those lats, or those big broad muscles down the side of the body. Left hand's gonna be in front of the right. I can be palm down to start, or you can do, make a small little fist and have thumbs up, whatever you feel like might work better. I'm pulling that, skimming that surface, pulling my hand towards my knees, and then sitting back. And then lats win, and then body weight wins. Super. Should be feeling it all down the side. If you feel it on the top of the shoulder, see that you're not pushing too hard into the ground. You can then change your hand position, go a little bit lighter, or change, maybe not have it as far across the body. We'll do one more. Good on this last one. Let's reach through and grab that carpet or ground. So both are giving a little pull. So lats are pulling, or the top hand's pulling, and the needle through the hand is pulling as well. Good, beautiful. And we'll switch to the other side. Oh, what did I do? Oh yeah, so me, left hand, I'm gonna do right side. So right comes in front of that left hand, pulling towards my knees. So I'm engaging that armpit down the side. Those lats go all the way into the lower back through fascia. So it's a big, broad muscle, big, broad swath of tissue. And of course, we're never just stretching or working or strengthening one muscle. There's I just use it as a reference point. So there's always a lot more tissue, muscles that, are getting work. Tendons, ligaments, all of that is getting activation and work through it. I just use it as a good reference point. So don't let up. It's very easy, very much in yoga. Everyone just lets go back here in child's pose. We're not letting go. We're keeping that engaged and lengthening. And then those lats pull us back up. And then if you head to that last one, we're gonna send that arm through wherever you can and just give a little grab into the ground to help open up that twist or open up that hole of the needle. Great. And then we'll come out of that. Awesome. Great. I just kind of feel like a little chest opener before we get to hamstrings, but we'll grab those palms or fists, pulling in towards the glutes, and then letting that chest lift forward and up. Hands win just the upper thoracic area, upper back, maybe rounds a bit, and then changes. We change that curve or reverse that curve as that chest comes forward and opens. Palms are still pulling towards the glutes. Just chest wins, hands win. Beautiful. Great, one more. Awesome. All right, let's get our hamstrings. And so we can, of course, get our towel or our hands, whatever you like, or any combo, or part towel, part hands. We're gonna kick down to the outside corner. So my right leg is kicking down to the right corner and coming across to the left shoulder. So kick down, it's the same outside corner. If it's your left, it's your left, the left, lower left corner to the opposite shoulder, right shoulder, or right leg, you're heading towards that left shoulder. Again, just finding a little more each time maybe, or better quality. You can just feel the tissue working, moving. Great, one more. Good, great. We'll do the same thing on the other leg. For me, it's my left. I'm gonna head down left leg to left corner of the imaginary mat, since I'm not laying on one, and then heading towel, when the towel wins, heading towards the opposite shoulder, coming on that nice diagonal. And that diagonal, you can vary those angles to, a few degrees. So if I think, I'm heading directly to the center of my shoulder, maybe I think I'm heading, a degree or two below, degree or two above. That will get some different fibers, just modifying still the same general direction, but just changing the angles ever so much. Good, one more. Awesome. All right, and we're gonna come around and do, we can do seated butterfly or adductors. Again, you can have your feet up against the wall too, if that's gonna feel better. You wanna feel like you have a better leverage, that totally works. Because then, especially if you feel like you can't get your spine and you feel too rounded here, then totally, you just have to get pretty close to the wall if you're using the wall. I have to stare at that crack in the wall, so I'm not gonna do that, so I'll be distracted. Knees are gonna pull in. I'm using my forearms to give some resistance. Remember, adductors tend to be a little less active, so don't go really heavy on them. Make sure get engaged, especially if your legs flop out really easily to the ground. Mine do not. Make sure you're light on that beginning, because a lot of times that's where we have the least amount of strength. So you could start mid-range and then work into that. So once we've got that length, wow, I'm really chatty today.
Sorry, ladies. So legs win. I can use the shin to lift my torso up, grabbing that, and then hinging at the hip. Trying not to like round. Of course, there's going to be some rounding, but I'm really having that intention that at that hip hinge, I'm staying as long as possible, long in the spine, and not rounding out there. Good. 2 more. Good. 1 more. Good. Yeah, so if you like flop out pretty easily, I would say come up into the middle, do some strength here, and then begin to do some resistance stretch and get bigger range, because that's, I always find the leg flopping, these guys tend to be underactive. So, and just super light on that. Oh, back to hamstrings. Let's get the medial part of the hamstrings, or the inside part of the hamstrings. So, towel or hands. I'll start off with right leg again. Right leg's gonna head towards midline or the center line, and then come out to the same shoulder. So lateral hamstring, we are hitting bladder for acupuncture lines. Medial is hitting the spleen. So we did bladder and kidney just now before, adductors and that lateral line. Now spleen and stomach on some acupuncture lines if you care. Or we can just think of adductors, medial hamstrings, we can think muscular, or you can just think my leg and it just feels good. But staying a bit more on that inside. Sometimes that inside too is also a little bit hard to find. So if you need to pause there, so I can kick down and just hold the towel, say, okay, am I on the inside a bit? Okay, I got it. Now I can start to move. Good, 1 more. Slowing it down, right? As that towel wins, we're just slowing that muscle, never losing connection, never just letting go. And then we're going to switch to the left leg. So left leg heading towards the midline. And then when the towel or hands win, we're heading towards that same shoulder. And it's very common for one leg to feel a bit differently. So we might have to, maybe this is the leg that, oh, I can't find it. Let me press down a little bit more and just hold it there, okay? Or smaller range until I get some of that connection. That's all good. That's the part of being smart and body intelligent with yourself, and not just saying, oh, well, I just do exactly the same. Like, you're being mindful in your own body. Saying, okay, this one I need to do a little differently. One size often has more strength. It's easier to get. One side may have an injury in the past. 1 more. So I'm keeping you guys in these stretches with me going on these long diatribes. All right. So going after, so we did medial hamstring. We're going to go after that quad. I should start off with the same leg. So right leg. You can do this again two different ways. Similar position. I can walk my right foot out from my center line just a few inches, and I can bring my knee into center just a bit. I can just use my hand and think of this outside thigh part pressing into my hand,
and then let the hand win. So what we're doing is we're working on that thigh muscle, the outside, the quad. So we're just letting the leg win, or that quad win, and then hand wins. Torso is staying steady. So again, I'm just moving it within that hip joint. You can play around, with your foot position, with what feels appropriate, right? Nothing's coming out, through my torso. Just getting a nice long line in that quad. If you like, you can bring your other foot, your heel, on the outside, and those two can work together. The hand and the heel can draw that across. So as the quad wins, it heads to, for me, it heads out to the right. As the heel and hand win, it draws it into the center line without contorting the whole body. Back's not coming off the ground. Good. One or two more. Good. Last one. Super. Great. Makes sense. And then we'll get to the other leg. So I'm going to walk the left heel, knee is bent. I'm going to walk that left heel outside of center just a bit, finding your own angle. And I think I like starting off with the hand, so that you can press that thigh into the hand. And I'm thinking quad, so my heel isn't trying to drive into the ground and do it from the back of my leg. I'm light on my foot so that I can make this quad do the work, pressing out into the hand, and then the hand wins, pressing it, lengthening it into the midline. So I don't know if this angle helps. Just changing that angle. I'm thinking this becomes nice and long. And then again, you can just leave it with your hand, or that heel can come across and draw it towards the midline. Again, working towards that your middle is staying steady. So maybe you only go a few inches, that's okay. I'm allowing my foot to stay neutral, so as it draws into the center, my foot's, the sole's coming up off of the ground. This way I can just allow that rotation to happen. Good. Excellent. Beautiful. Awesome. And then if you want, you can just do a nice little drop in and out. Now that we've gotten some hip movement, some hip work there, I'm just tipping one knee in and then the other, just taking nice advantage of that. And we'll get one more hamstring. We're gonna just come right up the center, but let's grab that towel around your heel, or your hand can be around that lower leg. And we're gonna kick down, heel kicking down, and then towel wins, lengthening straight out. So coming straight up and down, heel wins, or hamstring wins, and towel wins. Just kind of arcing up, finding some length through there, still staying active. And then let's slide our hands and towel down to the meaty part, to the hamstring part, and then just kick down or pull down straight leg one time. So hamstrings winning. Now towel wins or hands win. And then let's just do a little rotation. I'm still pressing into the towel or pressing into my hand and just doing a little twist, wringing out that muscle. There we go. And give that a little shake. Beautiful. And we'll get the other leg. or other hamstring, I should say. So I have it cupped around, the towel's cupped around my heel, kicking down and lengthening up. So hamstring wins. When the hamstring wins, that heel is closer to my butt. And then towel wins, hands win, lengthening up. Again, I'm still thinking of arcing up as much as I can, as much as we can with using a towel. I'm just not pulling down at me. Just trying to think of opening up, staying active in that hamstring. We'll get one more. Beautiful. And then we'll slide that towel down to the middle part of the hamstring, or your hands in the middle of the hamstring. Straight leg, pull down, and then keep pulling down. And then towel wins, finding that end range, and then give a little turn of the thigh bone. So I'm pulling the towel, one right hand wins, left hand wins, so thigh bone's turning. And you might feel a little more tissue stuff, different parts and pieces. And then relax, good. And then you can shake that leg out beautifully. Awesome. Oh geez, time is flying today. Just want to get our hip hinge, unhinge our sitting muscles. So one last little doodad here. Left leg, right leg's in the air. We're gonna just work on that left hinge, just raising and lowering, torso staying steady. And then keep lifting up and let that hand win. This is the amount of pressure, the amount of resistance is totally contingent on how well you can stabilize. Less is more. Even when you're light, you're going to get a good amount of work through that hinge. So it doesn't need much. I'm not giving a lot of force here. I feel it working and lengthening, or hard to say that it feels like it's lengthening. It feels like it's working, right? But we know that we're getting strength in that tissue and getting that hinge, able to hinge, shorten, but also have the strength to lengthen and open up. We'll switch to the other side. And so for me, left leg's in the air, right hinge, raising and lowering. And then just a few more, and then you can bring that hand in there close to the thigh joint, close to the hip socket. And I'm thinking of just that I've got the bone that I'm helping to move that bone. I'm only giving it pressure on when I'm trying to have the hand win. Lifting it back up, I'm not even giving it any resistance. Less is more on this one. We're just getting the springs springier. Awesome. Good. Okay. Oh, cool. Okay, my clock is, my watch, when I did the hour ahead, I made it a little bit faster than I than I thought. So we have another minute, so fantastic. Let's go. I'm gonna get a little bit tall here. We'll come up to standing. And I'm gonna have my left leg back. We'll do a little side bend, get some of those obliques. So left side, so right hand is on my forehead. I'm gonna do just a couple left rib to left hip, pulling that left rib open. If you'd like, you can lengthen out, but you could just stay on your forehead as well. Left rib to left hip again.
We'll do 3 to be the magic number. And 1 more, left rib to left hip. Awesome. Great. And then we'll have the right leg back. I have both knees a bit soft. Right rib to right hip. Left is on my forehead. So I'm going to try and grab that tissue between the rib and the hip and pull it open. Again, if you want to straighten the arm out, you can, but not required. Good. And 1 more. Beautiful. And yeah, and that might be ding. 12:58. Awesome. Or we can do 1 more. We have time for 1 more? Yeah, exactly, Cheryl. Yes. I was either gonna, you could either do arm in the air, L and L opener. Yeah, we'll start off with that and then we'll modify. So my left arm is pressing out, right arm, I'm thinking arcing out, right? So we're coming out just a bit rather than jamming it into my side. Think of that space. My torso stays front so that that tissue, the muscle is getting lengthened, right? It's not just moving with me. And then if you'd like, you can change the hand position and bring it, I can flip this down, bring my hand on the back side of the elbow, and then I can elbow back and then come across the body. So if that's, I'm just gonna come here a little closer so you can see. So I'm elbowing and this underhand is pressing up into that. And then this hand wins and comes across. Again, I'm still thinking of pulling out. So I've got my bone of that arm. We'll do 1 more. Great, excellent. And then we'll get the other side. I'm scared how this video, the camera is gonna be. So right's pressing out, going across the back of the shoulder, left hand then wins, creating some space and coming across. Great. Now I can just go 90 and then I just slip that hand on the back side of that elbow. Now I can elbow back. So I'm pressing back and this underhand can press up into the elbow and then my left hand wins. So right elbow's kicking back, left wins. Again, make sure you're just creating a little space and not coming into the body. Good. Beautiful. Awesome. Yay, ladies. Great to see everyone. We'll see some of you tomorrow, or hopefully all of you tomorrow. And yeah, good luck. And yeah, like Mo said, I'll be here early. We'll open up early on Thursdays if we all want to check in, or, you know,